They were trying to do me for not taxing the 2012 plate, even though I contacted DVLA and the police saying, well, technically that bike doesn't exist. How do I get rid of this logbook? I don't want it in my name. And they were saying, well, you should have declared it stolen. And I was like going, yes, but I never owned the bike.
Food and Fuel is only a few weeks away, and this time we're hosting it at Shelsley Walsh Hill Climb on September the 21st. Get your tickets at the link below.
This is a KTM Duke 125. It's a fantastic little bike that's reliable, light, and easy to modify.
Which is exactly what we did last year when we fitted a new sprocket and chain, RNG engine case covers, and a Scorpion exhaust.
It's also very popular, and with used prices starting from £2,000 is a fantastic starter bike for anyone looking to get on two wheels. Like, for example, this man.
Which is why when Rory spotted this abandoned looking KTM Duke 125 while we were buying a Range Rover from an eccentric man in Scotland, Rory did a deal, grabbed the relevant paperwork and loaded it into the back of the very Range Rover we were there to buy. Ironically, and if you didn't know any better, this scene looks like we've just stolen the bike and chucked it into our getaway vehicle.
Little did we know at the time though, the bike we had just loaded up was indeed stolen.
But before I tell you how we know that, let me first start by saying that the VIN number matched the paperwork, the number plate checked out, and a car vertical report, which marked it as having been previously crashed, didn't flag it as stolen.
Which it wouldn't have done because, as it turns out, this number plate belongs to a completely different bike. For starters, and what none of us clocked at the time, 2012 models do not come with this frame, daytime running lights, or a colour LCD screen. There are a lot of differences that we missed.
Following confirmation from KTM that the ECU didn't match up and that the VIN number didn't look legit, there was only one thing we could do, and that was to call the police and let them know the full story. And just like that, 2 hours later, the dodgy Duke was seized from our unit.
Presumably never to be seen again, or so we thought.
Because in the following weeks, Rory received email correspondence from PCSO-A, as we're going to call her, insisting that the bike was not stolen.
Until that is, a few days later when she managed to track down the initial crime report from Scotland.
She then tried and failed to make contact with the original owner, and after checking the insurance records, there was no evidence of an insurance report ever being made. All we knew was that the original owner was likely a foreign student who was no longer in the country.
So with no insurance records and no sign of a rightful owner, PCSO-A contacted Rory again and told him that this bike would likely go back to him. After all, he had paid for it in good faith from a man who had also paid for it in good faith a couple of years earlier.
Which, before you jump in the comments, he really did, even offering to pay us back the full amount, which we refused because he was not the one at fault.
What's more, a lot of work was done by us to not only get the bike running, but also get it road legal.
But then things took a turn for the worse. PCSO-A was replaced by PCSO-B, who informed Rory that she had been in touch with the vehicle recovery team. Because guess what? The bike was now going to be auctioned off to the highest bidder. In an email to Rory, here's what she wrote.
As it stands now, the situation is as follows. You will not have a stolen motorbike back. You will be compensated the value you invested in. I am waiting for the vehicle recovery scheme to come back to me, as I sent them the evidence you provided.
So at this point, I told Rory that I would buy the bike back for him. After all, it was known to be stolen and the parts that had been invested would have been refunded, meaning it wouldn't have been too much of an outlay to get back in his possession.
But PCSO-B wasn't done there yet, because 1 week later, Rory was informed that the value of the parts would no longer be refunded and that the details of the auction where the bike was being sold would not be disclosed.
So it was time to give up on this very bike. After all, it seemed like the universe didn't want Rory anywhere near this thing. Until that is, one of you guys sent a message containing a link that looked suspiciously similar to this bike.
Lot number 283,498 was indeed this very motorbike. However, there was no mention of it being stolen. It was also being sold on a 2012 plate, which meant it was still on its cloned identity.
And so Rory contacted the auction website, explained the situation, and sure enough, within 5 minutes, the auction was ended because the correct protocol was not followed.
With the bike's future now hanging in the balance, Rory once again contacted the PCSO who was dealing with the case and got this response.
Hi Rory, I thought I let you know of the following. I no longer deal with this job. Vehicle Recovery Service is dealing with your situation. Your legal rights are, as our legal department advised, the new owner would probably have a fair chance of being awarded the motorbike by a magistrate's court if an application under the Police Property Act 1897 is made on the basis that having paid for the motorbike, the person has a better claim to ownership than any other person. I hope this helps.
So again, Rory called the non-emergency 101 number and was told in no uncertain terms that they were unable to put him through to the Vehicle Recovery Service that was dealing with the case. Meaning that, yet again, this bike's future was hanging in the balance. Before we continue, a shout out to this week's video sponsor, Holy. Because if, like me, you're not drinking enough during the day, then Holy could be the perfect thing. And not only do Holy drinks taste great, they're also good for you because they ditch sugar, taurine and anything artificial for a super low calorie energy drink. Plus, they've also got 3 new flavors for you guys to explore.
Holy Starter Set Deluxe is a great way to get you started on your Holy journey, because it includes sample flavours of energy, hydration and iced tea, and you can also choose between a black shaker or metal thermo shaker for free. And making your Holy drink couldn't be easier. Simply pour a scoop into water, give it a shake and hey presto, you've got a tasty and healthy energy drink in seconds.
So if Holy sounds like something that you guys could also benefit from, then get yourself started with the Starter Set Deluxe that gets you 42 portions of energy, iced tea and hydration. And don't forget to use the code AutoAlex5 for £5 off your first order, and then for any order after that, use code AutoAlex for 10% off. Let's get back to it.
Until another call from PCSOB a few weeks later when he was informed that they'd looked into the situation further and that the bike was going back to Rory after all. She followed up with the following email.
Hi Rory, as discussed over the phone yesterday, VRS will hand over the motorbike for you. Please allow us about 10 working days for this to happen. Then VRS will make contact with you to confirm a day when you will be able to go to Mansfield Langley to pick it up. We will discuss further few things that I have to tell you once you are in possession of your motorbike. Also make sure you already have all the documents ready, bank statements and receipts, as VRS required. I hope anything from now on will go smoothly.
And so after all of that, Rory and Taylor finally picked the bike up.
But that's not where the story ends, because on collection of the bike, Rory was made to sign a document that stated that the bike would not legally be his until 6 months had passed, which would give the authorities enough time to find and contact the previous owner. What's more, and which made even less sense, was that they refused to release the bike unless proof of insurance was provided. Which, would you believe it, had to be on the cloned identity, which, remember, is a bike that doesn't actually exist.
Well, guess what? 6 months have now passed, meaning that Rory is now the proud owner of a cloned and stolen KTM Duke with loads of graffiti on it. So, Rory, tell everyone, how does it feel?
Well, it was a bit of a marathon, but we got there in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally got my bike back. They did mess it up a bit. They put a bit of paint, they put a bit of the auction writing. It's got this sticker on, which I know is going to be one of those stickers that will take 8. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
no.
Yep.
I would have kept that on. It's like history.
No, I thought that would happen. So in this whole process, there was actually a court battle going on. I'm going to say court battle because I never actually went. And basically, they were trying to do me for not taxing the 2012 plate, even though I contacted DVLA and the police saying, well, technically that bike doesn't exist. How do I get rid of this logbook? I don't want it in my name. And they were saying, well, you should have declared it stolen. And I was like going, yes, but I never owned the bike. So what do I do? In the end, I just had to end up paying a fine to get out of the court because they were trying to take me to whatever, fine me for about £1,000 or something stupid. And I still do have a 2012 plate in my name.
So if anyone wants a crashed motorbike that doesn't exist,
yes,
get in contact with Rory. He'll do you a grubby little deal.
I'll sell you a logbook.
There you go.
Any of you criminals out there want it, they can do the same thing again.
Right, Rory, the sorry saga is all done now.
Yeah.
Was it all worth the heartache?
Do you know what? Yeah, actually, I do really like this bike. Like, I think it looks really good, even though you don't, for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan, but you know, it's cool. It is cool. A cool starter bike.
I think for a 125 though, I don't think you can beat this.
Yeah.
This is literally the best thing.
And it sounds really good as well, doesn't it?
It does actually, yeah.
Speaking of, this is now your bike.
Yep.
It's legal. Why don't you show everyone and tell everyone how good it is on the road?
I can't actually quite do that yet because I haven't actually got my CBT, which is like the basic motorbike license, expired 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So, do you want to drive it?
Okay.
first time in 6 years of this bike being stolen, sat, stolen again by the police, then recovered, and then auctioned, and then blah blah blah. This bike is back on the open road. It is MOT'd, it is taxed, it has its correct number plate, it is insured, and now it's good to go. I cannot believe when we first got this, when we picked it up and put it in the back of a Range Rover all of those months ago, that we would have so many issues to get this thing on the road and to be enjoyed. Steering feels really nice, the gearbox is quite lovely. I really do like the LCD display here. Brakes are pretty sharp. The front shocks are a little bit soft for my liking, but it's light, it's nimble, it's going to be fantastic on fuel, and it's an enjoyable little motorbike. Rory has got to be over the moon with this now. A little bike like this can be chucked around on a country road, wide open throttle, you don't need to be afraid. Woo-hoo-hoo! And it just goes to show you don't need to have a litre bike to have fun. I'm here doing 34 miles an hour. I can feel everything underneath me. Sure, on a motorway it's going to run out of puff quickly, but for getting around little country roads like this, you don't really need more. And people with this exhaust can certainly hear you coming. So after months and months and months, I mean this is pretty much getting on for a year now, this story with this bike. It's now road legal, ready to be enjoyed on the roads. You can slip through gaps, you can get to work nice and quickly, or college, whatever, because you can ride these as a young'un. But even if you're an ancient fossil like me, it's still good fun, and it goes to prove again that you don't need big power to enjoy a motorbike. There is no shame in having 15 horsepower, especially when it looks like this, because it does look like quite a big bike. Doesn't handle like one though. Really short wheelbase, lightweight, and you're able to just open up the throttle all of the time. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah! So anyway, I hope watching all of this doesn't put you guys off getting your motorbike licenses, because when you do have one, the sense of freedom you get is like, oh, it's unbelievable. I love being on a bike, genuinely love it. And the time you will save being on a bike per week, I save about 5 hours. And for me, I really value my time these days. Well, I always did, but now being a father, it's nice to know that I can get home earlier and spend more time with my family. And I know lots of people will be saying, oh yeah, but what happens if you fall off and you die? You could get hit by a bus tomorrow walking across the street, so grab life by the balls and ride motorbikes. If it's stolen, maybe avoid it. Learn from us. It is a bit of a ball ache. Why have we just cut out? That's interesting.